Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's coverage of the inaugural season for NASCAR Class C Maconi Setup Shop Fixed Series action, the first of many for this recently rebranded series. This evening, we're excited to be bringing you top split action for the weekly Straight the Field race from iRacing's virtual New Hampshire Motor Speedway in Loudon, New Hampshire. Maconi Entertainment is here to bring you all the action for all types of racing, including weekly Fast Fridays. No matter what you are racing, we bring the action to life. My name is Justin Prince. Joining me in the booth once more is David Kreutz, with Eddie Smith working at the controls as a producer, using cameras provided by the great Dougie Beard. David, New Hampshire Motor Speedway is known to be a relatively flat track. Similar to Martinsville, some may say, but it has a lot wider corners, but also double the length of that paperclip. What should we expect to see tonight for the Granite State?
As we come to the magic mile here in Loudon, New Hampshire, I'm telling you this much, we are expecting one hell of a race. It's a northeastern institution in motorsport, but you'd be surprised to find out only about 30-some years old. Opened in 1990, there's a road course that got added a year later. We're not on that circuit. We're on our 1.058 mile course, almost a mile flat in terms of distance. It was formerly home to 2 NASCAR races a year, but there's only one event each year held this track by NASCAR's National Series. That's in the summer, and that's why we're here tonight. 2 to 7 degrees of banking through our corners. Drivers try to run that second groove to get a bit of the banking while cutting down the distance, and up to 76,000 fans come out tonight in the virtual sense to be with us in this race as the pace car looks to be ready, and I think we're already good to see some qualifying before the racing action gets underway.
Yes, indeed, a very quick night to be able to see how drivers play things out when it comes to this race at New Hampshire Motor Speedway here tonight. As drivers get themselves situated and ready to get themselves towards the starting grid, a couple of notes. Ryan Andrew, your points leader. We'll see if Ryan Andrew can keep things going. We'll look at those standings here before your grid. Jacob Snyder, 55 points back into the day. Austin Johnson, along with Kyle Rowley and Jordan Kuntz, your top 5. Also of note, several with multiple victories, not usually in the S.O.F race, that are notable. Chase Cabry, World driver, Malik Ray, NASCAR driver, as well as several others amongst that top 20. But it's time to see how drivers play things out tonight. It's time to look at your starting grid here from iRacing's virtual New Hampshire Motor Speedway. A large field of drivers making their way towards the starting grid right now. It's Connor Vorosjak, who had a strong performance last time out, who starts on the pole. Peyton Howell, who dominated Mid-Ohio on the road course last week, in second. Jake Matheson, a former NASCAR driver, and a driver who runs in multiple different pro qualifying series. Row 2, with your points leader in the series, Ryan Andrew. Row 3 tonight features Ryan Doucette, another NASCAR competitor, with Jordan Kuntz inside the top 6. Standing back in row 4 is Hugo Paquette, who starts alongside Adam Gillett. He looks to charge ahead from the 30.3s. Jean-Philippe Bergeron starts off 9th, and Stephen Massey, your top 10. Massey, an iRacing veteran. Alex Perry back in 11th, with Ryan Beal back in row number 6. All the way back in row 7, it's Jeff Maconi. John Ellis, top 10 in points, starts off 14th. 15th position goes to Justin Campbell, one of the drivers with real experience, along with Jonathan Oates. See him from 16th. 17th, Joey Misevich, once again back on the field after a tough qualifying run, with IP Lezier in row number 9. Back in row 10, Jonathan Tuck missed the last set of time. Ross Phillips starts off in 20th in truck 16. And your last driver in the field, once those 18th in the points, in fact, is Julian Melendez, who rounds out our 21 truck field. Let's take a look at your race details for tonight. These drivers expecting 40 laps on our Maconi Setup Shop race analysis. Fixed setups per C-Fix competition. No fast repairs. 1 green-white checkered here for this short stop and this short track. In turn, your keys to victory as we get ready for the start.
How about it? Only 40 laps of the magic mile. It's a lot of opportunity to make some moves in a short set of distance in terms of time as well. And we got 2 great drivers leading this field off ahead of the pace car. They'll be right now. It's going to be Euroshack, the first man on the grid. We're bumping and shoving already. The green flag's falling in Loudon, and the racing's on our way here in the Maconi Setup Shop C-Fix Series again.
Already a lot of bomb win at the very back of the pack. That was from Tuckness. Just about everyone else 2 and 3 wide, trying to settle things forward. This is important to mention. Very much a rhythm track, also a long caution type of track. These drivers trying to keep it side by side and use that second and third line.
And right now, Euroshack building a gap on that second line. As you mentioned, it's going to be not too far behind the Jake Matheson machine. Now going to be scored in second. And then Peyton Howell is going to be in third. Rest of the field still close within. Double file racing up in front and even in the back of the field. Most of these drivers within the 2 wide range. I mean, guys are getting loose off the corner. Notably in the back of the field, number 17 machine looked to have gotten a bit loose. Looks like they were able to save it as we're looking up front for good reason. One man down the apron as the leaders are still battling hard.
Now, that is a possible line for drivers to utilize to try and use a bit of a grip, so to speak. As in, you go down that low to the apron, you can cut the corner basically to right about the exit. Peyton Howell, the perfect example of this. Here's the thing. You need to be very accurate or else you're slamming the wall or not getting the grip you need and spin it out. Speaking of which, how about he loses the bottom line to one of the Altus cars? That's Ryan Doucette.
And Doucette taking advantage of that little mistake. It's a bobble on some strategy. That's racing line strategy there. The 52 machine on our end, well, that's going to be scored as iRacing number 6 through to iRating. He's one of the best guys in this field, but he's still prone to a mistake or two as things go on, and that's one of the big examples. Got down low, wiggled it just a bit, and loses that bottom line, and that's why Doucette's able to power through and get that position lower, which could be able to secure him a podium placement at the end of the day. Things are going pretty well for him so far, but we've only gotten started as Connor Euroshack leads him down once again to the stripe.
And Ryan Doucette's been on the record in other league competition with different types of cars saying this is his favorite track. Not a surprise because he races from the Northeast region in the real world, usually in some modified action and several other short track series. He's very quick on the short tracks and loves this track for a reason in turn.
And it looks like that experience up in the Northeast paying off very well, able to clear Peyton Howell for at least the moment now, as Doucette's got himself locked in third. He's now chasing down Jake Matheson. Matheson, an ex-Coke Series driver, up in front as Peyton Howell dives down the apron once again. They're still battling fiercely, and as they come out of turn number 2, it looks like it's going to be Peyton Howell once again losing that momentum. Ryan Andrew in the Maconi setup shot machine now chasing him in the same frame. Might be the number 88 machine that does battle with Peyton sometime soon.
And again, Euroshack doing exactly what we've seen last time on an oval. At Chicagoland, remember, defended all the way to the final 10 laps of the race there. And he's not easy to pass. In fact, he's been mightily consistent in the starts we've seen from him in this S.O.F slot so far in this truck.
And his consistency proves to be key in terms of his success as a driver week after week. I mean, he was flat out dominant. It felt like he had that thing in his hand the entirety of the race in Chicagoland. He had drivers competing with them, of course, Jordan Kuntz, and eventually the man who took the win, Ethan Lane. But when Euroshack's up front, it is very tough to compete with him unless you got some otherworldly skill to display. There's some guys that are anomalies like Ethan Lane, but right now Euroshack facing some of the best competition, and Jake Matheson is still holding a pretty wheel. If we're going to double up the word, as I think I just did, it's Euroshack who leads them, and right now it's going to be a big battle for third. Top 2 guys remain stagnant and the same positions.
That's kind of an expectation when it comes to this racetrack. A very difficult circuit to make passes on, very rhythmistic. You need to be able to hit your marks. It takes possibly up to 5 to 10 laps to make one pass once we get to this long run, like we're already seeing with some of these drivers to set this up.
And setting up passes here in New Hampshire, we might see one out of Ryan Andrew real soon. He's getting close to the back bumper, and we got trouble.
Caution flag is out for the first time. 17 truck, that's LP Lazier, who's gone around down the back straightaway with a little help. And we're under yellow just a quarter of the way through tonight's S.O.F action.
There we got it, first caution. It's been a while since we've seen a yellow flag. It looks like that 17 machine dove it deep. If we get an instant replay on Maconi Entertainment, dove it deep there, made some contact with Julian Valdez, and that sent that 21 right with him spinning.
Here's a look from the Zim setup shop truck. Yep, that's the 21 Sim stamp truck going off and around. Curious on the secondary angle possibly because, yeah, that type of line usually means he got hit on a quarter panel.
think that's what happened. Looked like a bit of action with not only the quarter panel, but the door. It was a harsh hit. The machine, that number 17, well, it dropped down, lowered, made some contact, and that's when Valdez went around trying to make a pass stick early. As we see Pit Road's now very active, got ourselves a battle to get some strategy.
So as they take some tires, let's take a look at this. This is the viewpoint. Yep, and that's the thing. A lot of drivers dive into that second line for the exit for a little bit of extra speed on the exit.
And it looks like it's not going to pay off in that instance as we see drivers now working on their fuel, their tires. This could be big. As we look up front to the pit exit camera, it could be a move by Euroshack. It looks like he barely makes it over Matheson. Then Ryan Doucette, and it's going to be the Peyton Howell machine there. A big surprise in that man in the number 73 as we get a closer look. Jonathan Oates looks to be able to sneak out with a top 5 after pit road. And the 73 machine now up in front, and I think we can get a word with him. How about we get that right about now? We're going to drag Jonathan Oates in. He made a huge move here on pit road, and now he's pretty far up front. Jonathan Oates, how do you feel after that one?
After what?
Looks like you made up quite a few spots there on pit road.
Oh yeah, I took 2 because my right sides were 99.99 and you can't pass. So I'm gonna, yeah, yeah.
So I'm going to ask this very simple question to get up to 1 to go this time. Confidence levels to make passes now on the 2 tires and keep up with 2 NASCAR drivers. The driver who nearly dominated to win the race at Chicagoland and the driver who dominated Mid-Ohio all in front of you.
I mean, being 5th and 15th, so we're just gonna try and learn. We're gonna follow. Maybe, I don't know. Ryan probably knows what he's doing. We're gonna follow Ryan, and we're gonna learn. And we're gonna try and get a better finish than 15th because I was pretty bad. So we're gonna try and get good.
Okay, good luck.
Thanks.
Jonathan Oates with extreme confidence. You can hear it oozing from him as he comes up to the green flag. Speaking of which, how about lap 13 to get started? Euroshack continuing to control the pace. We're underway.
And a huge drive off from Connor Euroshack once again. It's going to be Peyton Howell taking it 3 on the apron. This is dicey, and it's going to stick for now, but no positions gained or lost for that number 52 machine on our end once again. It's going to be the 71, nevertheless, now in second. They're 3 wide the back of the field, and it's going to be huge action all throughout the pack. Leaders are getting dicey as well. They're all shuffling through 3 and 4, and they'll be coming out to another lap once again. It is hectic here in New Hampshire as they come around after lap number 13.
Andrew Munsto's already losing tons of ground, in trouble. There goes Jonathan Oates getting a little bit of help. That was from the 11 machine of Bergeron. And Jonathan Oates now having to deal with a little bit of a slidey slide on those right side tires. That lasted very shortly.
And there's a huge hit there for Alex Berry. Berry goes in the tire barrier after making contact with Jonathan Oates. It's a big incident, chain reaction. And now there's a Toyota Tundra without a front end on the track, and it is getting worse. For Alex Berry, now going to be scored in 21st and last. Jonathan Oates gets the better of it when we look at it, as one driver now pulling down a pit road. This was bad, and it looks like that's going to be the race ender for Alex Berry as Jonathan Oates still stays the same up in front. We're getting ourselves a picture-in-picture look at the incident with Alex Berry, and he just made some contact with the 73 machine, and that shot him down and in. And when you go on that grass, you are all but done for. It looks like it took him out that time.
Significant damage indeed from the hard contact. Again, the new damage model in place. Even if the old damage model was in place, that likely would have misplaced an engine. But still keep an eye on that mid-pack that's starting to heat up a little bit. It's behind Bergeron. You have Paquette. Jordan Kuntz currently trying to find a way to gain some ground. And Kuntz amongst those who has ran a decent bit in this series, but is also focusing a bit to try and battle for the championship. It's almost the balance of, do you run to pick up some I-rating, have a little bit of fun maybe, or do you try and focus on the championship aspect? Because once you get to about 3 races, it becomes a points average for your standing position based on your finishing positions and your S.O.F. in your top 3 races rather than just your best total.
In the case of Jordan Kuntz, he was our points leader before he missed our most recent strength of field running at Mid-Ohio. Now, of course, back with the best of them. He's been very consistent, but tonight's not been all he's needed so far. He's currently scored in the 7th spot, got a lot of his contenders ahead of him, notably guys like, well, Ryan Andrew, who was ahead, but now he's not. It's going to be Andrew in 9th, with guys like Euroshak and guys, of course, like Jake Matheson. Very good drivers, hard to pass, and when they can get on a hot run, they will stay on a hot run. They're all ahead right now on the driver of that number. Well, if you look right back, it's the number 1 on iRating for Jake Matheson, and no longer for Jordan Kuntz. He's now number 2.
Well, an incident, you involved at least one other driver having problems. As we see side by side on screen, one driver with a lot of problems. This is Ross Phillips, now running to the back in about 20th. See a little bit of help from the 17 machine, having to save the truck, but also picking up significant damage. But because no one else was around Phillips at the time, no caution. We stay green.
And it's another case of a single car incident of sorts. I mean, it was another driver involved, yes, but it was only one driver that had to pay the price. That's the reason here on iRacing we will stay green after a circumstance such as that. We're almost at the halfway point. We're only half a lap from the halfway mark at the moment, and we've still got ourselves a good battle with Ryan Doucette right now. It is getting dicey here as Doucette's got himself a battle now with Peyton Howell. Howell's down low on the apron. It's going to be Ryan Doucette set right up high as they work off a corner number 4 rollover again. It's a drag race back, but it looks like now Peyton Howell's got the momentum to keep it up in that number 6 machine. Doucette is just going to have to wait and bide his time if he wants any chance to make it stick in the long run.
One of the drivers competing in the second round of Road to Pro qualifying has a little bit of a bubble. And remember, that banking difference, it's about dead flat on the apron. It's about 2 degrees for the first level of the lanes, about 7 on up. With the little bit of the progressive banking around here, that seems to be catching a lot of these drivers when they've tried this line a touch bit off guard where they can't clear fully. Speaking of looking to clear for the race lead, here comes Matheson inside. Euroshak has held on for half this race. He looks to defend with his most pressure yet.
And Connor Euroshak, who had to hold on for more than half the race last time at Chicagoland, well, he does not want to experience the same fate. But Matheson's now all over him. Take a look at the rear-end view we've got here in Maconi Entertainment. 1/10 of a second to separate your top 2 drivers. Peyton Howell still fighting in the background of this battle, but the leaders are getting even closer. And this could be big for Matheson. He wants to make it stick for the race lead. Has not gotten a shot just yet, but it's going to be the Euroshak machine who's feeling the pressure. He is the hunted one, and it is the Matheson machine that is the hunter in this circumstance. So keep your eyes peeled for this leading battle as the 3rd place fight still remains intact. It's going to be now Peyton Howell as the edge, clearing by a trunk length as they come down the line once more.
Remember, that's a line that popped up a lot in the eNASCAR races here in the past, where drivers revealed after that race there was a lot more grip than they expected down there. It's almost like what we see more so with now Legacy, technically, Auto Club / California, where drivers in real-world action in Turn 3 utilized a lot of that same line we're seeing these drivers do today, just to take that shortcut around the track.
And the shortcut right now working very well for the driver in that number 6 machine. That is the best it's looked for Peyton Howell. But how's about we show you something a little different? Not only the virtual round, but in the real one. We've got Jeff Maconi, the boss man, in this race tonight. He's currently in 11th, and we've got a driver perspective here in his C-Fix Truck Series. The first time we've seen him running strength of field solidly in the middle of this pack and racing against the best in the iRacing business. He's still proven his worth here as a driver, running very nicely and still involved with a battle as he's got one driver in Stephen Massey right in his tail. We'll see what he does about that. He's still running solidly just outside the top 10.
I have a very quick question. Did he end up getting a bronze medaled driver's stand? Because I don't think I've seen that color chrome before.
It's a little different from his usual, I'll tell you that much. We might have to ask him after this race. And right now, he might have to ask himself, how do I defend for this spot? He's got big pressure from Stephen Massey. And right now it's going to be the Jeff Maconi machine on the defensive. Still holding on very well, and he's going to set himself up to keep the spot. The Maconi setup shot machine and his driver still working very well as we have headed past by a wide margin the halfway point. We're almost at lap 30, and the leading battle is still raging on, at least in some capacity. But it is going to be different drivers into the top two, notably Peyton Howell now in second.
Able to zip on by Matheson, and now can anyone get around Euroshack is the question. Down to the final 14 or so to go. Howell having to pass by two fellow eNASCAR competitors on the ladder. Here's the tough part. How are his tires going to be? Does he have better tires despite having to pass by several cars? Or is this going to be a trouble spot to clear? Because he's one of the few, as you see in the picture-in-picture, to make the bottom line work to pass drivers.
It's been a real risk for him to make it happen, but after that early bobble before our first yellow, he has been able to reap the rewards and reap them very well. It's been a huge gaining aspect of his race so far. Nothing else has been as important, but as you can see, he's got a bigger gap to Euroshack than he's had to any other driver he's raced with thus far in this event. And as we come down to lap 30 this time, by time's running out, he's got to make sure he gets at it 110% if he wants any opportunity to take this race win, or else it's going to fall to the man in that number 3, and his hands will be filled with a trophy after tonight's racing here. Maybe a lobster, because they don't do trophies at New Hampshire.
Don't forget it's the live lobster, too. You got to make sure you don't get snipped by that lobster. You don't want to end up being scared of said lobster. Speaking of drivers looking to go chop on the gap, one of the Trek quoting-based drivers. This is Matheson. And Matheson, amongst those, as we talked about, eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series experience in the past, runs a lot in terms of short track action, but also amongst those, a part of that growing program that includes drivers on the Road to Pro ladder, including Drew and Navarro and a couple competitors.
And he has been a strong competitor in the eNASCAR world for years now, always showing his skill. Right now running in third, and it's been a tough race for him. Not able to get that lead, but if there is something that happens up in front, these two leaders, they're getting closer. Maybe we're going to see something out of Peyton Howell right now as he works his way down the front stretch, and he's gaining more and more on Connor Euroshack as we've only got ourselves a total of 9 laps remaining. It's getting closer and closer too for Ryan Doucette and the driver, the Matheson machine. Both of these pairs getting very, very close indeed to a pass or two being made on the racetrack.
Speaking of looking for the pass, here comes Howell, under 10 laps to go. He's been trying to close up the gap. He has been as far back as 2 seconds or so to the race leader, having to reel this in and pass fellow trucks. Is there going to be enough time to fully make this pass and do it cleanly? It's the huge question. Already trying to change up the lines we can see.
And the line is actually not down on the apron anymore, as you saw there. It looks like he's going to try to run in the middle of the apron and the somewhat banked portion of the circuit. Still much lower as he drives it all the way down to the grass. Once again, he's close. Maybe close enough to make something happen very late, but time's running out even still. Coming back again. Matheson is still in a battle with Doucette, but the leaders are close than anyone else at the moment. 0.2 of a second, about 1/4 of a second now, and it's still Peyton Howell chomping away at that lead. It's now Connor Euroshack who has to think of the defensive once again. Maybe there's going to be a bit of a tire wear for the driver right behind him, but there's no signs of stopping just yet as he stays just within the closing distance.
Still wrapping the bottom of the racetrack, still not able to fully chomp on by and pass on by. It's now a 2-truck race, 6 laps to go. Another send, and this is the best he's gotten yet. We've seen, though, with this move, it takes laps. He might have 2 total chances to get fully side by side to make this pass work with how things are playing out here tonight.
And you gotta take a chance if you get it. They're almost side by side fully that time through. That's about the closest they've both been. Coming out of corner number 4 once again. Big slide. Peyton Howell, my oh my, that might just be the race.
That might have been off the quarter panel, in fact. A massive save from Howell, and an even better job from Euroshack to not get loose and spin around from the possible contact.
And fantastic driving all around. That's going to keep Euroshack in lead, and more importantly for him, give him a lead to maintain. Once again, he's got himself a gap. Connor Euroshack fighting still with Peyton Howell. Almost got loose there, almost saw a spin for the both of them, but they're still leading this race for good reason. As they come around, it's going to be lap number 37. It's either going to be Peyton Howell taking it deeper and deeper, or Euroshack playing more calm and just letting it all happen because he knows time's running out. There's not much more Peyton Howell can do unless there's really another trick up the sleeve of that number 6.
Gotta keep an eye on the bottom. There's the send. Here's a look from Howell, and you can see just how much wheel Peyton Howell has to put into this truck to rotate the very bottom. That closed up another truck lane. 3 laps to go from New Hampshire, about 3 miles to go. Back side by side, now to the fender. Not able to get right where he needs to be yet.
And just when we thought Peyton Howell was done, he's back again looking for the race lead. He lost a lot of time on that little bit of contact. Got so loose we thought it might have been over. But just like that, he's going down to the inside once again. They're fully side by side now, but Euroshack gets the drive off all over again. Making 2 laps to go this time by. They're as close as they can be without contact. And it's going to be now Peyton Howell slipping right in once more. And it's only 2 to do it as Peyton Howell dives deep. And this is getting to be more and more as time continues to run out.
Euroshack gives a little space on the exit. Howell drops back into the line. Couple more chances to try and set it up. Lap and a half to go. Howell again, a massive send. Not able to get fully there again. Better shot last time. White flag is out. Maconi Entertainment, 1 to go. Will it be Euroshack or will it be Howell? Howell going for the setup into 1. There's the send.
And driving it as deep as he can. At this point, the tire life does not matter. This is the last chance you got if you're going for the lead. Is going to be Peyton Howell working his way off the backstretch all over again with Euroshack right in front. If there's an issue, Matheson, Doucette, they're still looking. It's going to be a deep dive there for the Peyton Howell machine. He sends it all the way through. It's a crossover maneuver. They'll switch back. Euroshack in a drag race finish at New Hampshire has the edge, and he barely takes it. It's a huge win as Connor Euroshack gets it done by only a total of 24 thousandths of a second, and that's a magic finish at the Magic Mile.
An unbelievable finish as Howell attempts the slide job, and Euroshack successfully gets the crossover for a huge victory over several eNASCAR competitors.
The pressure must have been something so tense, we cut it with a knife. So thick, we cut it with a knife. The deck stacked against him. Say what you will, Connor Euroshack did everything in his power to get the win, and he's burned it out, deservedly so. Fantastic drive for that number 3. You don't see much like that in New Hampshire. Peyton Howell making passing look easy, but Euroshack knew his one weakness. We're taking a final look back. That finish, my oh my, that's exactly how you want to do it for the race win.
And let's take a look at how this broke down, because Howell tried it in the first corner, knew he needed to send it extremely deep, it seemed, David, but that's where it gets intense. Because in some circumstances, you don't set it up, you can't get that crossover like Euroshack did. You end up making contact, losing the race. You can almost tell he lifted off the gas and just let him send it.
And that's exactly what Euroshack prepared for. Knew if he let that send go right into him, it would be over for the both of them. And that's exactly the way you got to do it. Racecraft at the maximum from both drivers there. I mean, even Peyton Howell to get back on the gas and make it a close race at the end. That's fantastic driving from the both of them. You don't see that often at such a high level as the Maconi Setup Shop Strength of Field race here in C Fixed.
A lot to discuss when it comes to this race. My oh my, how can you do, to say the very least here? Once again, 21 drivers taking the run here for tonight's action. Let's take a look at the unofficial race results, now official for this S.O.F. action. Euroshack, 24 100ths of a second over Peyton Howell. Matheson and Doucette, 3 and 4. Bergeron, Kuntz, Andrew, Gillette, along with Paquette and Massey in your top 10. Good positions for their iRating totals. Jonathan Tuckness, usually known for racing at short tracks, charging up to 11th. Jeffrey Maconi in that intense battling that was going on for 12th at one point, picking up 12 with Ryan Beal in 13th. Justin Campbell, the real-world short track racer for the NASCAR Advanced Auto Weekly Series, back in 14th. Joey Masevich, John Ellis Jr.'s 15th and 16th. Jonathan Oates was in race reporting at one point during the caution flag. Did not have a good time on the two tires. He finished 17th after contact from the top five. Whilst he, along with Melendez, Ross Phillips, a crash did not bring out a caution. He finished 20th. One driver ended up taking significant damage that did not bring out a caution either. It was Alex Berry in 21st tonight. With that, the drivers getting themselves situated and ready to go for post-race coverage. Let's take a break. We come back. More to discuss with our drivers. You're watching Maconi Setup Shop C-Fixed S.O.F coverage of Maconi Entertainment.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need: Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Welcome back to tonight's action here on Maconi Entertainment. An extremely intense finish determined how things played out in the S.O.F race for C-Fixed action. A few drivers waiting alongside to discuss things. The first of those, the driver who finished second, who attempted the slide job and tried to go 2 for 2 in the past 2 weeks in this slot. Peyton Howell now joins the broadcast booth. Peyton, what an intense battle. What was it like on that final lap on that setup?
Man, first of all, I'd like to thank Martin Sports for paying to be on the car, and you know, we need to figure out the broadcast issue. I need to get that paint back, but that slide job on the down in the 3 and 4, man, I was running the apron the whole race, and I thought he might not read me like a book, and I can just clear him, and then hopefully he just runs into me or something. But he stabbed brake and got under me, and then we about wrecked coming to the line. That was a drag race right there. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was an intense fight in the first place. And we discussed this a little bit. A couple of years ago in the NASCAR Coca-Cola action, the bottom line was talked about to be utilized a lot because of its grip right along that apron. So in terms of that in the truck, what was that like, trying to get that utilized and then passing some of those drivers who utilized that said grip with the Gen 6 cars the last time it ran a few years ago?
Well, I told Jake before the race started that it was going to come in because I know he raced with Busa when Busa started the trend. And seemed like Doucette, I think Doucette also raced when they started that trend, but I just seemed like nobody had it figured out like I do. I've been doing it for the last 3 years here. I feel like I'm one of the only ones who have just made it to where I don't make mistakes on it. I made one mistake the whole race, and that was when Urashak overdrove it, and I overdrove it as well. If I don't overdrive it there, I think I win the race. But yeah, I think that the bottom line just has so much more grip than anywhere else on the track. Like off of 2, I kind of migrated to running middle bottom, like running right in the middle and then cutting way down. But 3 and 4, it's like 3/10 faster a lap to do it.
Yeah, it seemed very quick and very efficient in terms of how you got some of the passes done on some of the drivers tonight in terms of that bottom line. But in terms of how it felt in terms of the truck in itself, how would you describe that handling feel for this fixed setup this week for those curious in terms of how it runs in case they want to jump in themselves?
It's really, really loose on throttle. You just have to save your rears the whole time. And once it hits a turning point where the tires aren't gonna fall off a lot, you can kind of push it really hard. But before that, you just have to. It's just all about saving the rears most of the race.
On that note, Payne, thank you very much for the time. Congratulations, top 3 run once again. A first and a second the past 2 weeks in this slot.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Going for a championship now. So.
You heard it there. Peyton Howell, he wants to try and fight for a championship. Jake Matheson, he talked about him getting some of that discussion at bottom line. He's now with David.
And Jacob Matheson, after a top 3 run here in New Hampshire, the Magic Mile did you well. Solid run all throughout here, and it looks like able to come home with a clean truck. So after night's action and C-Fixed, how do you feel about the truck and its performance?
Yeah, that was a real fun race. I picked it up about halfway through that the grass was actually the fast line. Peyton figured that out off the start, and he was obviously very quick. Good on Connor. Good on Connor. I don't know how to say his name. Good on Connor for the win. I got to thank Premier Racing Setups, Martin Sports, iRacing, iFlag, Tranquility Esports for everything they do. I'm gonna run a lot this week. This was a real fun combination, and hope everyone up in the booth enjoyed it too.
I'll tell you this much, to watch the battles all throughout, it was fantastic, and you found yourself in a few, notably battling for third. I mean, New Hampshire, we don't often see high pass racing, but up front, y'all made it look a little bit easier than everyone else. So how was it working your truck out all throughout the race to sort of methodically keep yourself up in the front?
One thing about being a race car driver, you're always looking around for grip, and I could have swore up and down that the middle was just going to be the fast line, and obviously, like I said, Peyton figured it out. Ryan was doing it too. Having that little extra, like, what's the word I'm looking for here? Having that line in the corner, that makes this racing so much better. And I mean, like you said, man, it was a battle up and down between top 4, and it's just a blast. It's a real fun race.
And a real fun race with a real good result. Now, I think this is the first time we've seen you up here in the Strength of Field race. Great to have you, of course, but leads us to question. We're still early in the season, still got a lot more ahead of us this summer for the inaugural Maconi Setup Shop C-Fix Series. Will we expect to see more back fighting for race wins? Because I tell you this much, you had a lot of speed. Maybe there's going to be another time where you get that checkered flag, of course, if we see you a little more.
Yeah, I mean, if I could figure out the speed at every track like I had here, I'll definitely run some more. Usually I don't run C-Fixed. I'm usually kind of a C-Open, A-Fixed guy. But, if they keep putting out good racing like this and good tracks like this, absolutely.
And that would be great to see. Jake Matheson, always a tough competitor here. Always a good competitor to have in any NASCAR setting. I'll give it back to Justin if he's got anything more to add. Nonetheless, great to have you here. Justin, what we got?
Well, what we got is the simple question. How was it in New Hampshire just in general?
Well, right now it's pouring rain. It's shown to rain all week, which is, great for race cars. I will be attending New Hampshire Motor Speedway this weekend, just to see how that goes. I guess I could call it a home track advantage.
We'll see if you are able to dart through the rain puddles. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jake Matheson, a top to run tonight. I'd like to thank him as well as Peyton Howell for taking the time to speak with us during post-race coverage here at Maconi Entertainment. Remember, this channel in action, brought to you in part by Maconi Entertainment. Lots to discuss when it comes to that matter here tonight. For more information on Maconi Setup Shop and Maconi Entertainment, go to MaconiSetupShop.com, the home for setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, event promotion, and more on the iRacing service. Subscriptions as low as $8 a month. They are the official setup shop of NASCAR and the official series sponsor for NASCAR Class C Fixed competition. But on that note, a very intense battle. Connor Yoroshak again impressing. And here's an interesting statistic for you. For iRacing reports, they keep an eye on who gains the most during an oval season, for example. Would you be not surprised if Connor Yoroshak was one of the biggest gainers of more than 3,000 iRacing a couple iRacing seasons ago, and now is getting to the point where he's winning S.O.F races, David?
I don't think I'd be all too surprised about his improvement, especially what we've seen. You got to gain to get up to this level in iRacing. We've seen many drivers come through as new guys, take it up the ladder, and become some of the best in the business. And Yoroshak is a prime example. This is someone who's going to stick around the industry for more time than exactly what we're seeing right now. I'm telling you this much. Got to be only the beginning for this kid in that number 3. Another fantastic performance. And it seems like he's only growing his reputation as a strong and solid competitor every time we go at it. Justin, I can't say I'm surprised, but it's a great very great thing to see, even if it is somewhat expected.
On that note, though, it's time to get ready to say goodbye. We'd like to thank the race sponsor, Maconi Setup Shop, as well as our broadcast partner, Maconi, Cup of Tide Zone. Along with Calling the Action, myself today was David Kreutz in the booth. Along with myself, Justin Prince, and Eddie Smith producing. Thanks to our viewers for watching tonight's racing action, and we hope you stay tuned for all of our social media pages for their next race. Thanks as well to the entire staff for their hard work in bringing this racing to you tonight. This has been a production of Maconi Entertainment. We'll see you next time here